Cool, howdy all. Grab yourself a beer. It's time for some Path of Exile discussion. Once you get very solidly to Endgame in 3.17, you will start having access to Eater of Worlds influence on every map that you run, and at that point you will start getting absolutely flooded with Scarab drops. There's been some talk that maybe the number of Scarabs dropping is slightly lower than it was at 3.17.0, but I'm not sure that that's true. I'm still getting a lot of them. Now, among these, there's a couple of Scarabs that don't really have that much use at the current endgame. There are Shaper and Elder Scarabs, which tend to be very unpopular because they preclude you from getting access to Eater of Worlds influence or Searing Exarch influence on that map. So you have to pick between them, and ultimately the Shaper and Elder influence tends to be weaker, and so these Scarabs are very unpopular at the moment. Additionally, there's Torment Scarabs, which are bad because Torment. There is a vendor SP that you should know about for dealing with these Scarabs and turning them into something useful, and that is 2 identical Scarabs plus 1 Horizon Orb is a random Scarab of the same tier. So if you input 2 polished Shaper Scarabs, then one of the potential outcomes you could get is a polished Expedition Scarab. That's if you get lucky. If you get less lucky, you might get a polished Torment Scarab instead. It will never be the one that you put in. So here I've got 90 Scarabs in total and 45 Horizon Orbs, and we might just go and talk to Einhar and vendor them all. So you'll see here as we start putting these in here, that you'll get a whole bunch of information here on what you're going to get. Now, I don't have enough space to accept the trade at the moment, so I'm just going to drop out 1 stack of the Scarabs for the moment. And now I've got the space, so here's 40 different Scarabs. And because of our inputs, we've got 20 polished and 60 rusteds. We're going to receive back 10 polished and 30 rusted Scarabs. So that's our first transaction. And then we still have the Shaper Scarabs that we chose not to put in. So we'll also vendor those. These are just rusted Scarabs. And now at this point we have 5 rusted Elder Scarabs, that's unfortunate. 4 rusted Ambush, that's quite good. 8 rusted Reliquary, they're okay. 2 rusted Sulphite, they're useful. 4 rusted Expedition Scarabs, they're excellent. 2 rusted Shaper Scarabs back, that's unfortunate. 4 rusted Blight Scarabs, these are really quite good. 5 polished Abyss Scarabs, these are excellent. 6 rusted Harbinger Scarabs, and 5 polished Cartography Scarabs. So definitely a recipe that you should keep in mind and that is very worth your while, as that is a significant upgrade on the Scarabs that I input into that recipe, and it's something definitely worth using. You can also use this even on Winged Scarabs, but it tends to be that in a trade league, the Winged Scarabs that are bad already have their price pretty much set by this recipe. So Winged Torment Scarabs, no one really wants to use those. Winged Shaper Scarabs, no one wants to use those. There are already people who are going around pretty aggressively buying them whenever they're listed cheaply. Anyone that lists them in accordance with their utility will find that they very quickly sell to someone that knows this recipe and is doing it. There's a lot more space to do it with the rusted ones because you probably have heaps of them that you don't have any intention of using. May your Vile Orbs have interesting results.